Good day, everyone. I'm Angela, the moderator for this webinar. I welcome everyone for today's webinar, Budget Spreadsheet 2024. I would now like to introduce our presenter for today, David H. Ringstrom. David H. Ringstrom, CPA, is an author and nationally recognized instructor who teaches scores of webinars each year. His Excel courses are based on over 25 years of consulting and teaching experience. David's mantra is either you work Excel or it works you. I would now like to hand over the floor to the speaker. Over to you, David.
Thank you, Angela. Hello, everyone. I'm David Ringstrom, a CPA in Atlanta. Welcome to Creating Budgets in Microsoft Excel. Budget spreadsheets are kind of a special creature in my mind because we are often creating them on short timelines. And a special tweak about budget spreadsheets is that typically, depending on our role, we may have to report on variances in the budget. And so a lot of my focus today is going to be on building resilience into your spreadsheets. You can make these last minute changes and they will get incorporated in the totals, and you will not have to, end up saying, oh, it was a spreadsheet error and that's why this number is different. So my goal today is to share a number of techniques that you can apply to your own spreadsheets that will improve the integrity and ease of use of your budgets. So that's going to be the focus of our time to go today. So I'm going to be presenting from the Microsoft 365 version of Excel today. So no matter what version of Excel you're using, you will be able to recreate everything I share with you today when we get to the XLOOKUP function. So with that, let's take a look, kind of an overview of where we're headed with our budget. First off, we're going to see there are going to be 3 different worksheet tabs. There's an inputs tab that's going to aggregate together all of the different inputs, and that's going to be a control panel for the budget. Budget spreadsheets become messy as users try to do too much all in one place. They try to have inputs and calculations and outputs all in the same place. And today we're going to segregate it out to 3 different worksheets. So we're going to have an inputs tab that has all the inputs that the user can change. And we're going to be assigning names to those inputs. So once we've worked our way through assigning names to all of the inputs, we will then go to the supporting schedules worksheet. And that's where we're going to have all the calculations that are going to drive the budget, which then means that the operating budget itself is just simply a summarization of the calculations that we created. So to begin, we're going to go back to that inputs worksheet. And if we click the arrow for the name box, we're going to see that there are presently no names on that list. So the name box resides at the top left-hand corner of the worksheet grid. It's a listing of all of the names that have been assigned in a workbook. So we will get some experience with naming individual cells, but first let's do this the easy way, because we do have a group of assumptions that are all contiguous there, which means I can select cells A2 through B8 on the inputs worksheet. Step 2. Step 3, I'm going to activate the Formulas tab in Excel's ribbon. So the menu interface across the top is known as the ribbon. Click on the Formulas tab. Step 4 there, we're going to choose Create From Selection. That brings up a Create Names From Selection dialog box, and it defaults to left column. That means all we'll have to do is click OK. If we then do step 6, we'll return back to the name box. We see that we now have a list of names. We can select any name from the list and navigate directly to that input. We may also have names such as we have in cells B11 through C13 where they don't lend themselves to using the automation of the create from selections. We're going to name those manually. So 2 different ways that we can assign names. The easier way to me is that we click on the cell that we want to name, and then we click in the name box, type the name that we want, and press enter. And then we repeat that for the other cells there. So as we've seen, we can navigate with names. If we we can be anywhere in the workbook. So let's say I go to a different worksheet and I pull down the name box. If I pick a name such as interest rate, that's going to take me right to that cell. Now, if we want to edit any names that we have, we can go to the Formulas tab. And step 2, we can click on the Name Manager. To exit the Name Manager, we can simply click Close. That's why for that section, we're going to use the Table feature. So to turn a portion of your spreadsheet into an Excel table, We select any cell within that range of cells. Step 2, we're going to go to the Insert menu on the ribbon. Step 3, we'll choose Table. That's going to display a Create Table dialog box. 4, we click OK. Now, once we've clicked OK and that portion of the spreadsheet's turned into a table, we can then go, the Table Design tab will be activated. And step 6, the first field there is a table name field where we can erase the word Table 1 and put in the word Expenses instead. We then click on the name box. We'll see that the table names appear on the list as well. You can click Convert to Range and then say Yes on the Table Design menu in order to convert that range of cells back to just what's called a normal range of cells. The first row is where we're going to put the budgeted sales in units for our hypothetical company. Step 2, I'm going to activate the Formulas tab. Step 3, I'm going to choose Use in Formula. In step 4, I'll choose First Month Sales. We'll once again go to the Formulas tab. We'll say Use in Formula. This time, step 4, we're going to choose Sales Growth per Month. And then we're going to add at the end plus B2. So once I have that, I press Enter, go back to that cell. I can use the fill handle to drag across to column M. That will calculate the monthly sales for the entire year. So from there, we're going to add some more formulas. And to this point, on rows 2, 3, and 4, when we put a formula in, we're copying it all the way across. So the beginning inventory is going to be the ending inventory for the current month sales, because the next row down will calculate the purchases in units, because row 4 calculates how many units you're going to need. Row 5 shows how many units we'll have on hand. So row 6 is how many units do we need to purchase for that given month. We've got some parentheses going on here, and this brings us to what's known as the order of operations. Our formula is calculating the purchases in dollars. And so we've got 1 minus gross margin. That is enclosed in parentheses. We want to keep our formulas as stripped down as possible and not have any extraneous characters. And so parentheses are definitely something that we can eliminate and just only use them when we're trying to alter the order of operations. So what I now want to do is to take these formulas and copy them across the entire worksheet. What we're going to do is hold down the Shift key and use the arrow keys to select cells B5 through M9. You can then press Control-R to copy the contents of the first column across the row. So Control-D copies down, Control-R copies across. So that's going to bring us to the collections ratio section. So on the Inputs tab, we had named cells for Collections 1, Collections 2, Collections 3. So we're going to put those formulas in, and then we're going to take the formulas from the first row and copy and paste them staggered, going all the way across. First off is the if function. Many times we'll have a series of decisions that we want to make. And so let's say that we have, numbers that start from 1 that correspond to different things that we want to return. So in this case, I'm going to use use fruit names as a placeholder. In place of the fruit names, I could have calculations or amounts. So basically, I'm going to write a formula that if A2 is equal to 1, display the word apples. If A2 is equal to 2, put the word oranges. Otherwise, put the word bananas. That's an example of a nested if function. A different way to handle a situation like this is to use the choose function that allows me to provide an index number. So it's a number between 1 and 254. Value 1 is what do I want to display if the index number is equal to 1. And value 2 is what to display if the index number is equal to 2. And value 3 is if the index number is equal to 3. So what SUMIF allows us to do is to add up values based upon criteria that we specify. So there's 3 arguments. The first argument is the range, which is where to look. So I want to look at column B. So we're creating an absolute reference for the row, the range row, and then also for the sum range. We want that to look at row 8. Row 25, when it finds the word January or whatever's in column A, it's going to return that corresponding amount from row 8. That ensures that we get the correct amount, which we can then multiply by our percentage, We'll then have a formula we can copy down and across, and it will populate that part of the spreadsheet. What we're then going to do is multiply that by our percentage. We can then copy that down and then across. So from there, if we select cells B38 through M38, we can either click the AutoSum command or we can do Alt equal, and that will put a total in each row. So let's now look at some ways that we can protect sensitive data in our spreadsheets, because what we're going to do is we're going to hide the formulas on this worksheet. So to hide the formulas here, we're going to go to the Home tab, click Find and Select, choose Formulas. It's going to select every cell on this worksheet that has a formula in it. So step 4, we're going to click the Font Settings button. That's going to display the Format Cells dialog box. Step 5, we're going to go to the Protection tab. Step 6, we're going to click the Hidden checkbox, and we're going to leave the Lock checkbox clicked on as well, because we do want to make sure all the formulas are locked, and then click OK. And click Protect Sheet. Brings up a Protect Sheet dialog box. I can optionally give it a password, and then I click OK, can confirm the password, and click OK. So we want to create a smarter sum. So what we're going to do is we're going to select B7, and we can click the AutoSum button on the Home tab, or I can grab that selection handle and drag it up a row to pick up that other blank row, and then drag that formula across. We're going to use the XLOOKUP function. XLOOKUP actually has 6 arguments, but we only need 3. We're going to focus specifically on the 3 required arguments. The first required argument is the lookup value, and that refers to the value that we're searching for. So we're searching for the value that's in cell A10. We then have a lookup array, and that's where we tell it, that represents the column where the function is going to search for the lookup value. So writing a formula like that is known as it's known as creating a structured reference. So I've already completed the operating budget, and we see that I could hold down the Control key and select the January to December on different rows, and then press Control R, press Alt Enter, and that will then put the sums in for those months. But where it's really going to pay off here is when we add a new expense. So if you need some inspiration on budgets creating any sort of budget, Microsoft offers a number of templates that are available for free that you can use as a starting point. All right, well, that brings me to the end of my prepared comments for today. I want to thank everyone for attending. I hope that you found this presentation helpful. With that, I want to thank you for attending and look forward to seeing you back soon for another conference panel presentation. Here is Angela to wrap us up.
Once again, thank you, David. That concludes the session for today. Thank you, everyone, for participating. You may all disconnect now. Have a great day ahead.